Welcome in, everyone. How you doing? Hi, I'm Chef Jay Tay. Happy to see all of you back. Hello, Will Poker. Welcome in, So Fluff. Hello, Will. I was doing so good. Welcome in, Muskeg. Happy to see you back. Hi there, John Ray. Hello, JK. Hi there, Chris. Welcome. Hopefully you're all having a great Sunday. I was almost late today. I got home about 30 minutes ago. 35 minutes ago? Something like that. Let's turn that off. I don't need to see that. It's delayed. I had all of the plans for today. All of the plans. And then I looked down at my watch and it was 2 o'clock and I was like, okay, I need to, yeah. Hi, T. Thank you for the sub. A little too much coffee in the grinder tonight. That made me think that maybe I should go and buy an extra couple of pounds of coffee. It's on sale. Your car died yesterday mid-delivery. Your car was pregnant? Some sort electrical computer problem? Yeah. I'm still trying to get rats out of my truck. That's got to be sort of awkward. Some stranger in your car and your car breaks down. I could say the same thing about rust. No passengers. So that's why my food got here so late. I'm sorry to hear your car broke down. I'm making fun of it. I shouldn't be. It's probably a very stressful thing. It's very stressful to me whenever my car breaks down. It is not fun. That's good. No lasagna fans in chat? Saw a new lasagna the other day I hadn't heard of. Has anyone had a dumpling lasagna? Regardless if you have or not, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you have all had a great weekend. Cheers. It's basically dumplings purpose made to be in a lasagna-like environment. I looked into it, and there's apparently ones that were people trying to like mimic lasagna using dumplings, and then there's ones where people do like Asian ingredients. But in either case, it's sort of like you just stuff a bunch of dumplings in a loaf pan and bake it together. What are we doing here? We're starting with our dough for our steamed dumplings, since it's a yeast risen dough. Would like to give that some time to rise. In other news, I was at the warehouse store today and found beef shanks. I have no plans in my menu for beef shanks, but I bought them. So I have beef shanks. I might be making beef shanks tomorrow. We're definitely making nougat tomorrow, but I think I might be making beef shanks tomorrow. Welcome, Melvin. You been doing anything exciting with their Sunday? I've got all sorts of plans in the works now. Like, I go between, like, being completely focused on my computers and getting absolutely nothing done in life, and having these bursts of, I'm gonna do a million things at once. I don't understand myself, chat. Strip steak in the sous vide? Nice. Park sounds good. Yeasties in with our butter and half and half. Add a touch of sugar to this. Flour. I was supposed to have the egg out and have it be room temperature. Oops. That's an interesting emote, John Ray. Sort of, I wonder if that's been the trend in the past, because I've seen a couple other streamers with sort of similar, like, person either dancing or like break dancing or doing like old school dance moves like that. Salt. The Twitch meta has changed so many times since even I have been around, much less before I was around. We all know that Twitch didn't matter before I was around, though, right? Give the yeast another moment to wake up and get happy. And we'll start mixing this all up together. I got everything here. I guess so. I sort of flubbed some things around with this, but I'm also going to be doing my pork without oyster sauce. The pork for this dish is typically more oyster sauce used. I'm going to go with soy sauce and some sugar and maybe a dash of fish sauce. Not a huge fan of oyster sauce, and I don't use it very often. I find that every time I buy a bottle, it just sits in my fridge forever. And so the last 2 times that I've needed oyster sauce or something, I've just sort of like, not gonna bother. Might add a little starch too to thicken things up. Like it's essentially a wheat sauce with a whole bunch of sugar in it that's thick. Yeah, it adds umami, it adds depth. It's just not worth it to me. And I'm Mr. MSG. You know, I throw MSG in like everything. Alright, going with the yeast first. Then they become the farties. We want our gas. We want our yeast gassy. Hi, Nan Reader. I never went for Cajun season at Five Guys. I know it's like their thing with their fries. I was like, it's now been probably 2 or 3 years since I've been to a Five Guys, if not longer. I don't know how much kneading we need to do with this. Let's see. But yeah, some McCormick stuff. The problem with a lot of McCormick stuff is their distribution and stuff like that. Like, they do great spices. Like, they didn't get to be a big company like that if they weren't. The problem is they do so much, and they sell such large containers that their freshness just doesn't. And that goes for buying those giant containers. Like, I could never go through the spice containers they have at the warehouse store. Because, like, even garlic and onion, you know, the more commonly used spices, those, like, tall boy containers they use in restaurants and stuff, I'd never go through one of those at here. Much less going through it while it's still tasting good. Well, it's partly quality goes down. It's new techniques come out and they use the cheapest methods possible. And it's also the level of expectation grows. Like, we've got spices and stuff from all over the world nowadays commonplace that weren't here when I was a kid. Like, the entire Asian aisle was, like, non-existent when I was a kid. So the competition increases. There's a whole lot of things working against the business surviving. There is a lot against businesses. So it definitely says something for a business like McCormick to be around forever, but were they the ones in the news just recently? I think it was. I think they're going to be buying Lawry's. Let me look here. Oh, no, it's Knorr. Unilever is looking to sell its food business, which includes Knorr Bullion, and what else does it have here? It doesn't list what else is in there, but Hellmann's and Knorr can now be underneath McCormick, if that sell goes through. But Unilever's been working away from food for a while now. They got rid of all their ice cream. They spun off all their ice cream businesses. They created Magnum. Like, they had the brand Magnum, but now it's like a business Magnum all its own that Ben & Jerry's is a part of, and several others. Thank you for the follow, Frog Rolls. We're going to an ad right now, unfortunately. I'm just going to cut up the meat while we're at a break. But yeah, they don't have Ben & Jerry. They have Ben & Jerry as part of Magnum now. They have... and there was another brand that went with Magnum, too. It was a pretty decent ice cream company as well. And you'll notice that now all of a sudden there are Magnum-style Ben & Jerry ice cream bars. Like, they had ice cream bars before, but now they have, like, Magnum-style ones. How do I want to cut this up? I think I'm going to have these longwise. I just want some pork stew meat. And I didn't want a ton of pork, so I bought some country ribs, which are typically just strips of butt or shoulder. Dragon. Welcome, welcome. See if my launch is done charging. Close enough. I got any oil left in the house? I forgot to buy oil today. Should have bought oil. What are you doing, camera? I'm not over there. Camera. Camera. Over here, camera. I guess I'll use the controls. Silly camera. I got new things for my stove today. So we'll get rid of the ugly white stuff here in the future. Nice new clean black mats underneath. Soon. Soon. I told you I got a million things in the next like 2 weeks, right? Maybe in the next 2 weeks, but I have them now. Oh, I'll have to do a decent cleanup on them. But what I have are these. They're very handy. I gotta cut them out to the right circle shape. But these are just sheets of PTFE, or essentially Teflon that put it underneath, and so everything falls onto the non-stick. I can just pull that off and clean it up. Wow, is that slow to switch? Yeah, they're great. Like nothing sticks to them. And you can also, you'll get things that sort of like act like they're stuck to it, but you pull it out of there and you start moving it around because it's like a thin, like a piece of paper, and it just all falls off. All right, so we got a nice hot pan over here, still heating up a little bit. That's been heating up through the commercial break. Let's season this meat. Start with a bunch of salt. No on all of that. I'm just going to do salt and garlic to start. Yeah. I didn't want that on that board. You're supposed to stay on this board. Okay, I think we got our pan sufficiently hot. It's nice and smoky. I'm going to give that a little shake of bacon powder on top. Which will help it with its searing and not losing as much liquid quickly. Because I slightly overcrowded that pan, I didn't want to break it up into 2 batches. I don't want to use a spoon for this. That it was. Collabor girl. She is a collabor. Once we get a nice sear on all of this meat, we'll move on to turning it into a braise. We want to cook this down until it's almost fall apart. I guess I can cut an onion while I'm waiting. Let's sanitize the other cutting board because I got pork on the other cutting board. Ew. Red sandy bucket, heard. Yep. Absolutely favorite dish. I did skip like a half dozen dishes today because a large portion of American Samoan dishes seem to use coconut milk. Onions going in. Soy sauce going in. Lots of soy sauce. And they add a cup of water in there. And this isn't the same cup that I used for the yeast, and so it's got dairy and butter and yeast and flavor. We're gonna let this just hang out and cook while I'm doing everything else now. Got a few leftover onions here. Aside from the onion, we're going to do a heavy amount of ginger in here. More garlic. MSG. Pepper. Fish sauce. And I'm going to turn that down a bit. We want bubbling, but not roll and boil, which we're getting there. I don't know if I trust this recipe. I think this is more dough than I need. We'll see. That's even with me having the recipe. Oh. So we got all that loveliness going in the oven. We got our pork started. That's just going to cook down and cook down. We can get rid of our flour for now, I think. I guess we'll go back to doing some more veggies. Don't call it on endive to the dude that runs California Vegetable Specialties, or California Specialty Vegetables. The only producer of endive in California 15, 20 years ago. Good marketing. He's got me saying it, what, how many years later from when I took the trip tour of his business? Whew. I don't even know that was over, but wow, something got to me there. It's the hazards of using your arm to sneeze or using it as a blocker, you gotta clean your arm. Oh, snooze. Is this onion even usable? Still sniffing. It's still... Whatever got to me is... my body's still working on it. Enjoy your reverse sear. How are you reverse searing? Are you broiling? Are you... Do you have a searzall? That little guy might be all that I need, really, for this project. Been using half onions more and more lately. Anyone else notice that? I never used to. It used to be every once in a blue moon I would have a half onion in the fridge. Now it's just about every other stream I'm putting a half onion in the fridge and using it in the next stream. That said, I'm using a whole onion today, but I used it in 2 halves. Yeah, I'm good with that. Alright, how are we looking back here? We're looking like we need a little bit longer. Let's see here. We can start. Well, I don't even want to start with that yet. I think we're mostly just waiting on this pork to cook right now, folks. I think we got a little bit for this pork to cook and break down into deliciousness that we can stuff into dumplings. Huh. What else can I do while I'm waiting here? I can make dough for tomorrow. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense for tomorrow. No. I want to do that on Thursday. Wednesday? Thursday? It's at least 1.5 poof. Maybe not quite 2 times poof. Spray a little oil on top, it's drying out. I think we're going to have to take a little bit of an AFK here while we let this pork break down. I think we're probably going to need another. I'm going to say that's going to take another 30 minutes. I wasn't planning for this break in this meal tonight. I was sort of like thinking that I've got 2 dishes going on. That's going to be enough. It is enough, but time-wise, we got all of our veggies done for the stir fry. It's a very simple stir fry. I'm going to use the other ½ pound of beef that I have left over from doing the stream on Friday. So we'll do beef with the stir fry and pork with the dumplings. I'm mostly doing that because I already have the beef around. I was thinking I was going to do pork for both. And actually, before I came up with the menu for tonight, I was thinking American Samoan. I'm probably doing fish. I even said that 2 or 3 streams ago. Hey, Rosewitch. But for now, I think we have to wait and allow this pork to cook, so that we have something to stuff in our dumplings. Let's see how we're looking with everything here. Yeah, I think we're going to give it 30 minutes here, folks. We're going to allow that pork to cook down. I'm just going to leave things here with the music. I'm going to set a timer up and turn my mic off and my camera off. But let it just bubble away. Hello. I'm back, sort of. What you looking at here, camera? Let's fix you before everyone else can see you. There we go. Now you can all see my wonderful face. This house smells amazing right now. I don't know why. It smells like a giant batch of my mom's bread stuffing right now. I don't know why it smells that way. It doesn't really have the same stuff here. But that's what I smell right now. But it smells delicious. Our pork is looking like it's starting to get there. A little bit more. But I think I can get into dealing with this loveliness now. So we'll take that out of here. And we're going to separate this. Or divide it. We're going to ball each of these up. Supposed to be doing this with two hands, but I'm doing it with one. I'm not getting paid enough to use both hands at once. And then we're gonna roll them flat. Yeah. Almost lost that one to the ground. Did I say hi to Miminik? Hi, Miminik. You're getting another roll. There we have our dumplings, skins, or wrappers. We have our pork looking lovely here now, and that is, I think we're good with that. We cut the heat on that. We're gonna let that cool down a bit, and start heating the water up and back. We're going to start heating the pan up in front. What else should we need going? I think we're waiting on our water to come to a boil now. And our pork to come down to a workable temp. You know, I should have gotten the other... I need to get the other pot going. Why I didn't start with this one initially, I do not know. But this is what I need for doing our dumplings. Do I need to save this bag for anything? I got... Bubble wrap is amazing for sending things, but I have got so much bubble wrap that I'm never going to go through it. I don't think we need to use the liner today. I don't like how the pot was looking here, so we're giving this a good clean out before I use it to boil pasta. As if I need a perfectly clean pot to boil pasta. But let's not be nasty. Was it going all over the place when it lost tracking on me? It does have a fascination with looking at the other camera. It likes to look up at that one. No, keep following me. You don't need to turn off your tracking. I saw you blinking your light. You were trying to turn it off. You thought I was making hand gestures I wasn't making. Silly camera. Have you not heard of force meat before? No, not that, no. It's a sausage thing. Basically, unformed sausage meat. This house smells so good right now. I don't even know what's doing it other than the pork is delicious, but I don't think that's all the smell that I'm getting. Oh yeah, we have yeast rising. So we have the yeast for the bread here. That makes sense now. We have the pork and the umami. We've got some veg around here, and we've got yeast dough. That makes the bread stuffing sort of fit. All right, let's get this in a bowl. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, Melvin. Maybe a bit more meat than I need for 8 of these. But alright, nice warm pan back here now. Let's go ahead and go in. Well, do I want to go in with that just yet? Or are we early with that pan? I think we're early. We don't have boiling water back here yet. We do have convection in that water already, though. That's promising. Sesame seed. You can give it a splash of sesame oil. If you've never worked with sesame oil, it is surprisingly potent compared to many other oils. You do not need to add much to get a good sesame flavor and things using sesame oil. Debating if I want to do Yeah, they're gonna stick. We're gonna move the meat for a moment here, and we're going to cut ourselves some squares for underneath our dumplings when we're steaming them. Oh, come on. Alright, I guess we'll do it the other way. Boil. We're ready for you to boil. Why isn't it boiling? Got nice and clean ones once again, and so I don't know why I'm using that old dirty one. That might actually be too much water in there. Let's take a little water out of there. I need some water in there, but that might actually get into the steaming basket at that height. Still a little warm. I think I'm going to throw this in the fridge for a minute. Bad idea. Let's see what you got, bot. What you got for news? Yeah, that makes sense. That also makes sense for why they're having an apocalypse in the restaurant industry. I mean, I've talked about delivery in the past. We've talked about COVID killing people going out and meetups and groups and stuff like that. I mean, it's definitely come back since then, but it's killed a lot of that off. It killed a lot of weekly groups off that never came back and stuff like that. It largely killed off for at least long enough to kill a couple of restaurant chains that they didn't have their lunch groups coming every week and that sort of stuff. But I've also talked separately about there very obviously being some sort of bubble going on with alcohol and booze, and them just mass producing booze and like Gen Z not drinking. And now I'm reading an article here, alcohol crisis for restaurants. If you look at the business model for a lot of these restaurants, like back in the day, it used to be that Applebee's survived on alcohol. They basically broke even on all the food that they sold, and they made money on alcohol. And now, you take the alcohol out of that equation, they still have a business making food, but they're not making any money. Which is now why you see Applebee's and IHOPs combining. Why aren't you boiling water? I guess I gotta ramble longer. Sort of depressed about the whole blow up about Noma and how he mistreated his staff and then closed down his restaurant, and now he's leaving his group because the stories are coming out of how he treated his staff. That's fine and all. Like, I don't want the rest of the group to be punished by his bad behavior, yada yada. What I don't get is why there's no actual change. Like, this just happens every 5-10 years. There's some restaurant or some chef that comes out as being an absolute bastard, and like nothing changes about the industry. All we got out of this were some news articles where a bunch of chefs wanted to get their name in the paper and say, yeah, it's horrible, it's a horrible thing about our industry, yada yada yada, and then nothing ever changes. What is wakame? Off the top of my head, and with my horrible memory, I want to say it's a seaweed. Probably wrong on that. It's an algae. But yeah, it's seaweed. Welcome in, Alex. Happy Sunday to you. Also already seeing articles about energy efficient kitchens. I have no idea what cats should weigh or not. That sounds heavy, but I don't know what a cat's supposed to weigh. I would guess it's an age thing too, but boil. Why aren't you boiling? I command you to boil. Trick to cast iron is just keeping it clean and dry. Rinse it off, get everything off of it, scrape it clean, cook it until it get rid of any liquid left over, move on with life. Like here, just used this earlier. Most modern soaps I'm not even afraid of either. They're not lye based. So I don't put soap directly on my cast iron, but I'm also not afraid if I have soap on my scrubbies still. Hey, Abby Mark. Oh, I just don't ruin the season. Like I said, most soaps these days are not lye-based. It's lye-based soaps that you really have to worry about destroying your seasoning. That said, I have not tested every soap in the world. I stick primarily to Dawn. Alright, I'm tired of waiting and our dumplings are getting too poofy while we've been waiting, so we're gonna stuff some dumplings. Come on. My stuffing is not working very well. You know what? Screw it. It didn't want to cooperate. I also suspect it got too wet. I'm not very good at dumpling making, apparently. It has been quite a while since I have attempted to make them. It's not even sealing after I pinched it closed. Not good with my dumpling forming. This needs work. Now that pan back there is all smoking and hot and completely dry. Just keep it dry and you're fine. If the person who asked me about cast iron's still hanging out. So there's our first batch of ugly dumplings. Waiting on this to boil. I guess we can get started with our veggies now for our stir fry though. I need to find dried orange peels by tomorrow. I don't have orange peels for my nougats tomorrow. I've got dried cherries. I've got crystallized ginger. but I need me some orange peel. I almost forgot the last piece to this. We need the beef. I forgot the beef. That is what I said. I'm not sure which one of these it is. That's the cherries, I'm pretty sure. The fact that the tape is stronger than the bag is quite astounding. Astonishing. I mean, it's masking tape. Wow. It's like candied ginger. Crystallized candied ginger. It's boiled in simple syrup until it absorbs all the sugar, until it's no longer got just standard water in it. It's got sugar water in it. And they coat it in sugar once it's done with that. It's a fun project if you got a couple hours to do around home. I've done candied citrus and other things before. All it takes is a little bit of time, and it helps if you have a dehydrator or, but you can do it in a low temp oven. Ooh, boiling water. We have boiling water. I'm searing my beef off. In one hunk. It's a little bit easier to get a nice sear on it, a little bit more Maillard reaction if you don't break it up immediately. Okay, I've resisted long enough. I'm stealing a piece of pork. That is mighty delicious. Slight more chew than I want for it, for the time that we gave it, but it's not too chewy. It's cooked through. Does everyone watch the Costco CEO raw dogging it? You think he did it without condiments because it costs them money on such a cheap item? Or do you think it's because he actually likes the flavor of the hot dog by itself? He had to follow in the footsteps of all the fast food CEOs pretending to like their sandwiches. Rumor has it is the Costco CEO also tipped the girl working the cash register $500 when buying a Costco hot dog. And people are like, oh, so her reactions were absolutely not genuine whatsoever. Alright, let's break up the rest of this meat. Since we have all this added, I'm going to call it pork sauce. I think this is going to work lovely with that beef. So I'm going to take a little of this sauce and throw this in with the beef. That wasn't my original plans, and I don't think it's really traditional. But it's a little smoky in here. Rice noodles going in the drink in back. Little water in with the onions there. And we're going to an ad, which will be perfect. We'll come back from the ad and we'll probably be just about perfect timing for putting everything back together. No. Cast iron is thick and heavy, and that sort of can be a double edge. That's why some people like stainless steel. Stainless steel is a little bit quicker to heat up, but it in no way maintains heat anywhere as close. When you heat, it takes a little bit longer to heat up cast iron, but once it's hot, you put that steak down on there, it is not dropping temp. It is searing that steak. Versus aluminum or stainless, they lose a lot more heat quickly. They don't maintain temperature nearly as well. Go ahead and add our carrots in there. Touch more water. Splash of soy. Splash of lemon. Cutting the heat on the pan. While that boils back there, how we looking back here, noodles? Look at that package again. I think it said a 9-minute boil. 10 minutes. You notice that's still, I turned the flame off there a minute or two ago, and this is still sizzling. There's still bubbling going on there. There's no flame underneath. There's no flame. It just retains heat. It just... Green onions. Still no flame. And take the veggies and add them to the beef. I don't like throwing it directly under the water, like immediately after cooking. I think the hot shock is not necessarily great for it. According to the package, they need another 2 minutes. They've turned our water white. Gonna add a little sesame oil in with the beef and veggies. Those seem cooked to me. They're close. And since now our noodles are all out, go ahead and steam our first buns. Well, how do you handle it normally? Don't you have to normally wait for him to cool down somewhat? Man, those noodles are sticky. And there you have my rendition of Sapasui. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I do not speak Samoan. American Samoan. But considering it's supposedly their version of chop suey, I just assume the name is somewhat similar. Alright, back to being horrible at making dumplings. Yeah, I'm horrible at making dumplings. We're not the dumpling master here. given up on that idea. Being anywhere close to a proper dumpling. Hey, pizza. I'm failing hardcore at properly crimping dumplings. I'm spiraling. The end is near. I could. There's several things working against me here with these tonight. One, I sealed them all with the dry side out, so I'm trying to seal dry side to dry side. It doesn't like to stick nearly as much that way. Two, I let them poof too much. You'll notice that I sort of tapped them down for that second round when I went to fill them in. And it's because they're so foamy at this point because they've been sitting here poofing. We're about halfway there with these. But I'm hungry, so I'm going to try this Sapasui. I took a photo of... Oh, let's try the stuff I'm not going to take a photo with with the dumplings. Those got some bounce to them. Those noodles would be bouncy. They're sticky, but they're bouncy. Otherwise, it's a delicious stir fry. You got beef, you got that sesame flavor in there, you got carrots, you got green onion, regular onion, all the soy. I do think I'm going to do this, which these are not originally intended to be together. I just feel like they need to be friends. All right. Sort of surprising how long they take to steam. They're a 15-minute steam. Let's see, we had 5 minutes plus 3, so that's 8. So we need another 8 minutes of cooking on those dumplings. Wow. I'm counting back since the commercials. The commercials were first 3 minutes of cooking the pasta. I went another 5 after that. And then we went into steaming dumplings. They need 15 minutes. But yeah, this is going to be delicious. Very happy with that. Don't know if I love the noodles or not. It's the first time I've tried these rice noodles. and they weren't exactly what I thought I was shooting for with it originally. My understanding, this is a vermicelli rice noodle, like the clear rice noodle, like a rice starch noodle. These are not clear. I do realize that one, but they are a rice noodle. I at least got that right. I guess while we're waiting on that, I can hype our current ingredient challenge vote between celery and Red Hots. So Wednesday will either be dinner and dessert using celery or Red Hot cinnamon candy. I forget what I think they're a thing in Europe, but I think they have a different name in Europe. Like cinnamon royales or something. Royale with cinnamon. And we'll do that. Yeah, pork's delicious. So we know that's amazing. We just need to know if the dumplings survive the steam and how the poofings on them ends up. My probably wrong clock behind me says 7:19. We're waiting until 7:23 to take these dumplings out. Wow, no one's on in creators group. Ewan Hunline and happy people tonight. Do I have an idea of how they will be made? Well, I'm gonna buy them. Not sure what you mean by that. I'm not going to be making them. I buy the challenge ingredient and then have to use it. It has been quite a while since I have had a Red Hot too. If I remember correctly, they're almost jelly bean-ish. Am I remembering this correctly or no? Like, I remember them being relatively hot. I just don't remember if they're absolutely rock hard solid candy or if there's a gummy, like, later on to it. I have no clue. And I purposely don't try to think about it until one's voted in or not. Although I did look into availability and have ordered Red Hots in case it wins. I mean, it's got that much of a lead that it's probably going to win. I mean, you could vote for celery. But I did look, and they're not in, like, any of the normal stores that I could find online. Like, I saw some things, like it might be a Dollar Mart or something along that line. But those are a little bit, you know, like, maybe they have it, maybe they don't. They're really just cinnamon. I mean, it's cinnamon to the point that it's a little bit spicy. You got a little bit of heat, especially for a kid's candy. Like, it's not like we're going hot ones with this. It's... Oh, hey. Steaming's over. Oh, no. Not into the dumpling. Uncooked, cooked. So they poof when steaming. Just a little. All right, going back in with our second batch. But we have our first batch of buns. That looks delicious. soft, light, airy, and then you get that heavy pork deliciousness. Just delicious. That is worth doing. Hopefully you're better at making dumplings than I am. But those are delicious. Like, capital D. Like, I want to break into the second half of that already in the middle of stream. Not doing it. We will make it a little more photogenic by pasting it back outside, though. Get that up close shot. Can never figure out where the camera is on this one. Do I go this way? Do I go that way? There we go. Yeah, we're going in further with this. I'm hungry. Yeah, those are delicious. I just... How many cameras? 6. You've got over the cutting board, you got over the stove, you got the one facing me right now, you got the overview one up over there that you're not seeing right now, and the angle one that I only turn on every once in a while. It was 5 for a long time. The GoPro is the most recent re-edition. I've had the GoPro for a while, but the GoPro has given me issues over the years. We are not good friends. The GoPro is certainly not Mr. Wiggles or Son of Wiggles. Cheap ones. If all you're doing is streaming, like, we can talk if you're doing high quality photography or if you're doing professional video for like YouTube or anything else. But when it comes to just streaming, you're maxed out at 1440 to begin with. And so the only reason that you're going to use a resolution higher than 1440 is if you want to zoom in some fashion without it being a proper zoom. Or you do a post-processing zoom by just blowing up the resolution. like, there are nice cameras out there that you can use for streaming, but I don't see the point in spending what is now probably $1,000, what used to be, you know, a 600-ish point. You can these are 4K that I have over the cutting board and the stove. They're Logitech Brios. And that's a C920 Logitech up there. Logitech makes an okay camera. Like, they've been ratcheting up their prices since I've bought them, and it's been years since I bought a camera from them. But they have very regularly had a decent 1080 camera. Like, I think they had a 1080 camera for $40 this past holiday. Beyond that, I don't have, like, I haven't, you know, tried 101 cameras, PTZ cameras, to recommend the brand that I'm using over other brands. And I've told you that I didn't really like my GoPro, so. Though I do have a GoPro 9 Black. The newer models are supposedly a bit better when it comes to live streaming and all of that, but I haven't tested it. We're about 10 minutes in on these dumplings. Hey, Epitaph. Yep, there'd be plenty of cast iron in this kitchen. I guess I'll clean this one up now that it's not raging hot anymore. GoPro is typically around the same price point as my PTZ, my main PTZ. When I got that, it was in the $300 range. And that's probably now more a $500 range, I don't know. But the whole idea behind GoPros, though, is they're a camera that is somewhat of professional level, but is inexpensive enough that you don't have to worry about breaking it. Like, that's sort of like their thing. Like, they have their whole, you join their club so that you can just get it repaired or replaced sort of a thing. And it's more for people. GoPro, I think of as, they're definitely marketing it to the everyday person to try and sell a ton of them. But what they're really for are for the actual, like, mild professional to get those shots that they're worried about ruining their $1,000 or multi-$1,000 camera with. Ooh. Still another 2 minutes, sorry. Timing's off on that. Heat off on the pan on the bottom, though. But I would stick to webcams. I wouldn't go for a no-name brand whatsoever, but I'm also frustrated with my PTZ Cam company in that their software constantly puts ads up for them. Like, I have your camera. Why are you giving me ads to buy? And I have your camera. Yeah. Or they want me to recommend it to all of you and say, oh, hey, there's a great sale going out. I don't know if there's a sale going on right now, but they advertise to me through their app, which that's right up there with charities that, marketed to you after you donate to them, but never did before. Ooh. Why, hello there. Welcome, Play Carrington. Thank you for the raid. What were we playing tonight, Mr. C? Oops. I am just about ready to pull out my second batch of dumplings. I did a horrible job on these dumplings, so I just cautioning everyone there first. We can go ahead and turn the heat off on that now too. Jackbox party night. Nice. Great sci-fi from the 50s. What are we talking about? The good version of The Day the Earth Stood Still. Quartermass 2, Enemy from Space. British. Was there a phone booth? What? Even better than good versions, bad, earnest side. Nice. No doctors in the scene. Okay, good. I apologize, I'm not the biggest Doctor fan. I'm, on one hand, seemingly very much a fan of British culture stuff. Like, I like a fair amount of their music. I like a fair amount of the TV and stuff that they put out. Like, I used to love Top Gear and stuff like that. But, yeah. Just can't do the Doctor. So what are we doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? I'm cooking foods. On Sundays, I'm doing, for the most part, doing state foods the next year or so. And so we're on American Samoa today, which is a U.S. territory. I thought we were going to be doing fish. I thought we were going to be doing seafood. We're doing very much more Asian here tonight. We have Sapasui, which is a rice noodle dish with some sort of meat. I've used beef, but it can be beef, it can be pork, it can be, some across the board in ground meats. With rice noodles, it's essentially their version of chop suey. Sapasui, chop suey. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Sapasui right. I'm just assuming it pronounces similar to chop suey because it's essentially the same dish. And then we have our other dish, which the name I am forgetting and I don't think I can even properly pronounce. Steamed Keke meat steamed yeast buns is what we've got going on there. But I think this is where we're going to leave things for this fine evening. I've got my delicious bao. I've already broken into one of these. I made 8 of them. I've already eaten one of them here on stream. They are delicious. They're soft, they're pillowy, and then that reduced down braised pork that I made earlier. Absolutely phenomenal. Ground beef with our noodles. Sapasui. I think this is delicious too. I've had a little of this as well. You can't really go bad with chop suey. Let's see. I shall be back here tomorrow night. We're doing nougats tomorrow night. I'm making nougats. And I also have beef shank, so I think I'm making beef shank tomorrow. So I hope you come back to join me. Might be a little bit of a longer Monday stream. Monday streams are typically my shortest night. Let's see who's out there on Twitch tonight. I'm going alphabetically, Zystra. Welcome, man. So we're pretty early on in here. Hi, Waddy. Ooh, here's someone cooking that I haven't caught cooking in ages. They do have this flagged as an adult raid, or adult stream, so I will caution you of that. I'm going to raid Ryan Howe. Ryan Howe has raided me many times in the past, and I know that they do cooking streams. I just really never seen them other doing gaming things when I'm going to stream, or going to wrap up for the night. I think he's a great dude. I hope you enjoy hanging out with him. And I hope to see you all back here tomorrow night. Good night, everyone.